minutes past the hour now. Here is Rebecca.
Jeff, thank you. Digital cameras arrived just 20 years ago, and today they're everywhere, from our phones to our computers, even in our cars. And that means cameras that use actual film are quickly becoming obsolete. CBS News correspondent Seth Doan is here with a snapshot of the pre-digital age. Great to have you with us, Seth.
It's good to be here. Good morning, Rebecca. An entire generation has grown up never having had its picture taken by a film camera. Film harkens back to a time when people were careful with every click and when photographers were considered master craftsmen. Ansel Adams was just 14 years old when he used a Kodak Brownie to take his first picture back in 1916 in Yosemite Park.
This is one of Ansel's famous prints.
Adams bought his film here at the family-owned Adolph Gasser's in San Francisco.
The greats took a lot of time to learn how to do it right.
Amateur photographers have been pointing and shooting since 1888, and film cameras have given us some of the most enduring images of the 20th century.
Always use dependable Kodak film, the film in the familiar yellow box.
But analysts speculate that this analog or film-based photography will largely disappear from the U.S. market within the next decade.
Most of the digital cameras now is 90% of the market, 10% is film. And the 10% that's film is used cameras.
10 years ago, Americans took 26 billion photographs with film cameras. They'll take just 1.4 billion this year. Compare that to the number of digital images that'll be captured this year, 80 billion.
We estimate that this year there's around 36 million digital cameras being sold. And on top of that, you have about 200 million camera phones and smartphones that have a digital camera.
I hate to say this, but everyone is a photographer nowadays. They keep taking, shooting, and shooting, and shooting, and chances are, yes, there is going to be a good photograph there, but they're not really thinking.
Bobby Baker Burrows sure knows a good photograph when she sees one.
This is iconic.
She's been in the photo department at Life for the past 45 years.
When Izzy shot that, he didn't even realize how significant it was at the time. He thought black against white, that'll make a good picture. And then he forgot about it. I know photographers who actually went back through their negatives and found some very significant moments that had been tossed. And if they had had a digital camera at the time, it would have been gone forever.
Might have been deleted.
Absolutely.
And it's not just the photographs or film that's being eliminated. So what's this?
So we're in our color darkroom, and this is a color enlarger.
Is there a point where we won't really see machines like this anymore?
They will become more and more rare. There will be
museums, maybe some universities. Parsons, a design school in New York City, is downsizing its darkrooms to accommodate for more digital technologies. Do you run up against purists here in a photography school who say, absolutely not?
Of course. But
what do you say?
that the language is always evolving, and this is just another step in its evolution.
By a show of hand, who thinks film is a thing of the past? None of you.
No.
Just like the diehards who prefer their parents' vinyl records to MP3 downloads, this next generation of photographers aren't ready to hand over their beloved clunkers just yet.
This is my Polaroid 330 automatic land camera. A lot of times this is the only camera I bring on vacation.
Do they think you're like vacationing back in the 70s?
You know, yeah, it turns a lot of heads.
Mine's also a medium format film camera. It's a Hasselblad.
This is a Nikon F3. It's been my favorite camera for as long as I've been shooting, which has been a long time.
What's satisfying for you about hearing that click advancing the film?
It's stopping time.
Stopping time is one thing, but stopping technology?
Well, I think there will be a day when somebody opens a drawer and looks in it and says, what is this? Do you know what this is? And somebody else will pull it out and put their fingers on it and say, I don't know, I think they call them negatives.
Now, film issue cameras have seen their sales tumble from 20 million to 280,000 in the last 10 years. Those Parsons students told us they really love those distinctive sounds that their old film issue cameras made. Of course, the digital medium has borrowed some of those to make that picture-taking experience seem more authentic. Think of that sound on your iPhone camera, for instance. And look what we found, an old Polaroid SX70, one of the first instant gratification cameras that produced a photograph without professional film developing. We found this last night while we were editing, actually.
You did.
But remember that waiting for your film to be developed and wondering what was on that roll?
Well, even with the Polaroid, having to shake it and wondering when the picture would show up, and now there is that instant gratification. It's really changed us psychologically as well as physically in terms of how we do the pictures.
Yeah, and imagine looking at this and thinking, wow, what technological advancement and development.
Or just wondering, you know, does it go in the garbage can?
Exactly. One of the things that Bobby Burrows said, we're also getting very used to much more saturated and vibrant colors because of Photoshop, too. So even the pictures we're seeing are changing.
Absolutely. Seth Doan, as always, thanks so much for being with us. We appreciate it. And coming up next, some Footloose fans say the upcoming remake has all the wrong moves. We're going to take a look at Hollywood do-overs that don't work and a few that do. This is The Early Show on CBS.